Guys, and welcome to my digital classroom. I have a couple of announcements. I am going to be sending out each video on ClassTag, and I think all of you are on ClassTag, but if for any reasons you have any questions or any issues, just let me know. Also, you are free at any time to email me or contact me on ClassTag or call or text using my email or phone number. You can pause this video to write this down. None of you are in my theater or YouTube class, so I'm going to jump right into English. I'm going to start out with our workbook. So if you'll open up to workbook page 183, I'm going to start reading. Now, feel free to pause this video at any time if, for example, you need to go get your workbook or do anything like that. So just pause, and that's the blessing of digital, right? All right. So this week we are starting a research essay, and it's a little bit more intense than what we've been doing. It's kind of a bummer we're not in class today. Because I was hoping I could get to work with you. But I'm still here to help. Please email me or call me if you have any questions. And this way, you at least have your own computer to research from, which is something we don't have in the classroom. So let's start reading on page 183. I'm starting with the writing assignment. In this lesson and the next two lessons, you will write a 6-paragraph essay on Gothic architecture. Make every effort to go to your local library, find books on Gothic architecture, and do your own research. However, I do think that the library might be closed, but the internet is limitless, so please do your research on the internet. Take notes on each topic from those resources as well, and fuse the outlines appropriately. On the next page, you will find the 4 assigned topics. The source texts might not specifically be about these topics, but the topics may be mentioned. Careful reading will allow you to pluck out facts you need, because you must 1. Research, and 2. Find facts in paragraphs that are not on one topic only. This essay is a more advanced writing assignment. Pace yourself. For this lesson, write 1 paragraph on flying buttresses and one on ribbed vaults. Be sure to save both paragraphs. So this week you're only writing 2 paragraphs and you're researching 2 specific things. Look at page 184. In page 184, you see an example essay structure. So the first paragraph will be your introduction paragraph. Your second paragraph will be topic number 1, which is a flying buttress. Topic number 2, which is paragraph number 3, ribbed vaults. Paragraph number 4, in topic 3, pointed arches. Paragraph number 5, which is topic 4, rose windows. And the 6th and final paragraph is your conclusion paragraph. The information that you will gather from the source texts and provided and the library books you will read will be sifted, organized, and fused into topics listed here. This might take you 2 weeks, so begin reading and taking notes right away. After you fuse the notes together, be sure each of these topical paragraphs has a topic and a clincher that repeats and reflects. Remember, we start out the paragraph with what the paragraph is about, and then our clincher sentence sums it all up, right? This is what we've been practicing all year. So you're going to, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to start with the 4 body paragraphs, and then we will write the conclusion and the introduction. So this week again, look at page 185. We are just doing the flying buttress and the ribbed vault. So it is encouraging you to take notes on a separate sheet of paper. Now, you've got your workbook, but I'm going to show you what it means. It's encouraging you to make pieces of paper look like this. So you'll include your sources, which sources are important, remember, because if we don't cite our sources, it's called plagiarism, right? So make sure you write down whether it's a web address or a book, or maybe it's this book right here. You're going to write down your sources. You'll also write down your different notes for each source, right? So I encourage you to do this on a separate sheet of paper because there is not a place for you to do it in here. On page 186, we are going to start with our source text. All right, so let's look at page 186 and let's see if we can find anything about flying buttress and ribbed vaults. I'm going to read a little bit fast so that this video is not too long. To God be the glory. Before the 12th century, the typical church was built in the Romanesque style. A simple rectangular design, usually with a barrel-vaulted nave, rows of bulky columns, and semicircular windows and arches. These dark, simple churches were usually wide and not able to be very tall. A monk named Abbot Suger, Suze, has been appointed by King Louis VI to remodel the Abbey Church of Saint Denis, just outside of Paris, and he envisioned a church that would be full of light and would bring the eye upward towards the heavens, towards God. When he described the church, Suze, said in his own writings, "The nave, main body of the church, is supported by 12 columns, corresponding to the 12 apostles, with just as many in the aisles, corresponding to the 12 prophets. Thus are fulfilled the words of the apostles who built in the Spirit. So you are no longer guests and strangers, but fellow citizens with the saints and members of God's house, which is built upon the foundation of the apostles and the prophets, with Jesus as the cornerstone, unifying both walls, and in which every building, be it spiritual or material, grows to become a holy temple in the Lord." Abbot Suze had to conquer a major engineering problem first. The weight of the masonry and stone, which would be needed to build a higher church, would end up being too heavy for the windows. Instead of using the Romanesque half-circle arch, he used a pointed arch, which directed the load off of the glass and down the wall. He also borrowed the idea of a ribbed vault for the ceiling, which is easier to build than the usual Romanesque barrel vault. The arched, crisscrossing ribbed vault is a ceiling that can be built in smaller sections, can be added onto later, and can be built from above. By the time he finished the beautiful reconstruction of St. Denis, his friend King Louis VI had died, but his son King Louis VII was at the dedication of the newly remodeled cathedral, and the era of Gothic architectural style was born. Suze was immensely pleased with the outcome, and now everyone could give glory to God in this magnificent house of worship. So this source text was not specifically about the ribbed vault, but there was some good information in there about the ribbed vault. So you might use some of that information for your source outline, or for your outline on ribbed vaults. Now, the next one is called Beautiful Flying Buttresses, and source text 3 is called A Variety of Vaults. I am going to let you read those yourselves and pick out the information as we would in class on the different types of flying buttresses and the ribbed vaults. But if for some reason you get to the source text and you do not understand what I'm asking you to do, which is pulling out that key information on ribbed vaults and the flying buttress, please let me know. But you guys can handle reading and pulling out that information, I think. So you'll read those source texts, and you will then go online and do some additional research if you need it. You might not need it, but you might need a couple of more facts about those two things. Essentially, you're just describing each thing for that paragraph, okay? On page 191, it tells you to recall the writing process. As you write your own paragraphs, read them aloud to listen for grammatical mistakes, run-on sentences, subject-verb disagreement, typos, and other errors that may be missed if you read your paragraphs in your head. And we talk about this all the time, guys. This is why we do peer edits, because sometimes it makes sense in our brain, but it doesn't make sense on paper. We will continue to edit like normal, but it will have to be done by someone at home. So, my dog Pippin is visiting us in class today. For the checklist, which we will do on Thursday, it will be 2 separate checklists. So you'll have one for flying buttress and one for ribbed vaults. And you don't have to worry about that right now, but we will look at that on Thursday. So, again, this is a little bit more intense, but I'm here to help. And if for some reason we feel like we need a little bit more time, please just let me know. And we have a lot of flexibility with this new format that we're using, just the whole digital thing, that if you need to take a little bit more time, that's okay. But also, you have a lot more time at home now, which I want you to utilize as well. Remember, you should be doing each class each day. And we spend an hour in each class. So I encourage you to spend an hour each day, like you would if you were in a regular public school. 1 hour of class each day. And it might take you that long to do the research. But that's okay, because that's what good writers do. They do the work, and then they pull out the key information and use it for their paper. So for Tuesday, Wednesday, you will write your rough draft of the 2 body paragraphs, just the 2 body paragraphs, and we will edit in class on Thursday. We'll talk about that more. Okay, I usually would give you your vocab during class. Instead, I'm going to email it to you with this video and class tag. I will also be sending you your grammar. Now, I'm going to do grammar at the end, and I'll talk about that in a second. So first, let's talk about Among the Hidden, Chapter 2. Among the Hidden, Chapter 2. We get to find out how Luke found out that he was against the law. So, he was 6 when his mom told him. It's funny because sometimes it's just interesting to see the way 6-year-olds think, little kids think, right? Sometimes little kids say things and it's funny, their perception of the world. And Luke, up until he was the age of 6, thought he had to be a certain age before he could be seen by the world. Because he saw his other brothers being seen by the world, and he thought that you had to be like 7 to be able to go outside, right? It's interesting that was his perception. But one day he figured he needs to ask. So he asked his mom, why can't I go outside like my brothers? And his mom explains it to him. She says that she had always wanted Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And she had a Matthew and a Mark. And right after the law was passed of the 2-child policy, she got pregnant with Luke. And she said it was right after the law started, and she thought that it would just go away and she would be able to have Luke and show him to the world. But by the time she started to get really pregnant, it started to get real. And the population police came around. And so then she realized that Luke had to be hidden. And so she's explaining to him at 6 years old, which is so young for someone to know that the world does not want them, right? That's a hard thing for anybody, but especially a 6-year-old. But Luke takes it in stride, and at the end it says that after he learned all of this, it wasn't so hard to hide, because he knew that his mom wanted him, and his mom loved him, and his family loved him, even if he was against the law. And so Chapter 2 is really short. We talked about it in class, but we're going to start reading more than one chapter.